Marketplace with Charles on an 11-day tour of the Holy Land. Take the route Israel traveled to the Promised Land, cross over the Red Sea, and float on the Dead Seas, the lowest point on earth with amazing healing properties. Experience the vibe of Jericho and cruise on the Sea of Galilee to Capernaum, the hometown of Jesus. Visit the pools of Bethesda, Nazareth, Bethlehem, and many more. Walk where Jesus walked and see the Bible come alive. If beautiful memories and an enriched spirit is what you are looking for, then join us in taking Jesus to the marketplace. For more information, call us on +27 72 123 0078 or email israel@artofskincare.co.za.
Welcome to Marketplace with Charles, where dreams are turned into reality. Marketplace is brought to you by Art of Skincare, the company that brings out the beauty in you, as well as Guwisa Lodge from deep in the heart of Mabalingwe Nature Reserve. I am Ketiwe Pagadi. On Marketplace, we empower as well as equip you with tools that you need to achieve your entrepreneurial dreams. Each week, we bring you insights from experts in different fields of business, from men as well as women of faith. Today, we meet an adjunct professor, performance and leadership coach, as well as a wisdom advocate. God reprimands us to strive for wisdom in all that we do. But what is wisdom? How does one acquire wisdom? What is the value of wisdom in the human life? And what is the difference between wisdom as well as intelligence? Well, my guest today will talk to us about this less understood subject that is very crucial to human life as well as existence. Welcome Ms. Nomvula Rakolote with me into your home, your hotel room, or wherever you may be joining us from today. Nomvula, welcome and thank you so much for joining us at Marketplace with Charles.
Thank you, Katie. I'm very happy to be here, and greetings to the viewers at home in their respective areas.
Great. Now let's just get right into it. Ms. Nomvula Rakolote, what do you do in your business?
My business is Advancement Solutions. Advancement Solutions seeks to serve, underline serve, it seeks to serve those people that are on a self-conscious journey in trying to learn, relearn, and also who are in a process of growth when it comes to their individual lives. So Advancement Solution has 4 pillars where we look at 4 aspects when it comes to the person: how to lead yourself, how to lead another, and how to lead a team, and how to lead an organization. So those 4 pillars is the training that we do within the corporate sector. But we also have another section to it where we call the program Lead Like Jesus. So the very same model we have true from a Christian point of view and also in the corporate. So that is in a nutshell what Advancement Solution does. It is a company that was founded in 2011 but never operated. It started to operate in 2018. You know, where I just took a faith in God. I started to find office places whilst I was employed. In January, I looked for office spaces, I paid the rent, and I knew and I was certain to say, you know what, God, for this year, I don't want to be an employee. God, you need to make a plan. I prayed and I trusted God in the process. But because I was now in love with the construction sector, I also didn't want to leave it. But God being God, I then got a position of a part-time CEO. So don't wonder when you see that portfolio, a part-time CEO within the construction industry. But the beauty about it is that I'm a consulting CEO through my company. So I feel that that is just how God has laid my path into the business world. So through that, I was able to get some bridging finance. So I didn't start with no money, no clients, not knowing what to do. I feel that God cushioned me into the business. So it has been about 2 years now that I've been running Advancement Solutions. But at the same time, I'm still a part-time CEO.
Still a part, the best of both worlds.
Yes, but I'm still then doing the leadership and performance coaching in the sector and a lot of mentoring of the young ones. That is why you sing at Young Prof. So I do that at universities with the young ones.
Yes. So with that experience, what words of wisdom would you give to somebody who's watching us from home right now? They're still in that transition phase. You know, they're still employed wondering how to make the move to transition into business, what words of wisdom would you give them to direct that move?
Okay, the reason why I'm going on the subject of wisdom, I felt that sometimes we benchmark and do things of what other people have done or the lessons that they have learned, not knowing their source. So in coming to the question that we are saying, the advice that I would give to them is the very same, the one and only source that is in the Bible. I would say to them, you know, in Jeremiah 29 verse 11, it says, "For I know the plans that I have for you, says the Lord." Most of the people end in that line. But if you go further, it says, "Pray to me, I will answer. Seek me, and you will find me." So I would say, yes, there is career advice, but at the end of the day, you need to know the purpose that God has for your world. Because if you go accordance to that, every other thing God will provide for. I believe in that because my life verse says, "My God shall supply all of my needs." And that is how I have done it throughout my life. And the reason why I say that is that today I'm in the construction industry, but I don't even have the qualifications in the construction industry. I've done education, but I ended up being a CEO in the construction industry with none of those qualifications because all I did was to look at my source and what my source promises me. I'm not afraid to apply for any position. I don't care even if people say you need connections, you need to know somebody. If I want it and I pray and I ask God to say, if it is in accordance with your will, you will grant me my wish. And that is how I got all of my positions. It's a testimony for another day, but I actually had an article that I wrote to say, I've climbed the corporate ladder through divine intervention. Not connection, divine intervention.
And as I mentioned earlier, when I was introducing you, I did mention that you're an advocate for wisdom. Yes. That's because clearly your work is evidence of how much you believe in the idea of wisdom. So you don't only just stop there. You speak of something called timeless wisdom. What do you mean by that?
What I mean by that is sometimes we look for answers everywhere. We think that we are in control of our lives. We look at what Ketue has done, what Charles Ngobeni has done. That has worked for them. And we want to benchmark and do the same. And most of the time it wouldn't work because I don't know your source. So when it comes to timeless wisdom, I'm saying, be what it is, nothing is new under the sun. It is there. It is in the Bible. And in this timeless wisdom, I take you through a journey actually where I examine the book of Proverbs. Amazingly, there are sections that you would get that you wouldn't even think they are there. In writing the book, I've actually rearranged it. The first thing that I did was to look at the origin of wisdom that you find in Proverbs 8. It says, I, wisdom, I was there when God himself created the heavens and the earth. So God himself used wisdom as a principle in bringing forth everything that he has created. And we experience things, we grow up, our parents tell us, give us their wisdom, which in my book I actually then name this as conventional wisdom, because it's wisdom that a society or a culture, for example, would believe in. But it is different from what is in the Bible. So with my experiences, having experienced what I have experienced, having grown and matured in the Lord, I started actually to see all my life has got traces of wisdom in each and everything. So that is why I'm saying it is timeless. God's word is the same yesterday, today, and forever. And when you look at it, I've written the book in such a practical way that you can see the advice that you go to Ketue and whoever, it's there in the book. But remember, it doesn't say that you shouldn't go. The Bible still says you must find counsel. But the biggest thing is that know the source of that particular person. And that is really what my whole life centers around.
So now let's just go to the beginning of it, the grassroots of it, the definition of wisdom, right? Because for us to get to timeless wisdom, I must at least have the basics of what wisdom is. So somebody might think when we talk about wisdom, they'll say it's based on how much you know what knowledge you've acquired. It's based on how you utilize the knowledge you've acquired, how you apply your knowledge. So how would you define wisdom in simple terms?
You've actually already said the differentiating factor, because there is your intelligence, which is your mental capacity to be able to acquire knowledge and do whatever it is that you do with knowledge and find sense. But with wisdom now is the understanding and is the application and knowing what to do when. That is why in the Bible it says, in everything that you do, seek wisdom. But there's the intelligent aspect of it, which is your mental capacity to be able to understand certain things. That is why in the word God says, do not lean on your own understanding. Meaning it is not only about your mental capacity. Because if you are only going to look at your mental capacity, then you will not be able to have the wisdom of knowing what it is that you need to do in following God's instruction. I usually say sometimes God blesses us so much, and before you know it, you don't know what has happened. But actually, you've never asked God for the wisdom on how to look after that very same thing that He has blessed you with. We usually say when it's women, you say, you pray all your life for a husband. You get the husband, you forget about God. Now you're ruling God out. Yet you do not ask for the wisdom on how to become the noble wife, which you also find in the book of Proverbs.
I'm very interested and intrigued in what you're saying in terms of what got you where you are. Because, we all go through life and then you don't just haphazardly hop onto something that you want to leech on. For you, that thing you want to leech on is wisdom. There must have been driving experiences, right? Driving beliefs and hits and misses that drove you to this point. So I want to understand what brought you to wanting the zeal to study wisdom.
I would say when I was younger, much younger, I became pregnant whilst I was doing my second year at university. And my grandmother said, you know what, education is important. I'm going to look after this child, go and finish. So I still finished my degree uninterrupted. But I was from Kimberley, a very small town where you are really afraid to be adventurous. So I applied for a position in Cape Town as heritage manager, not having the qualifications in the heritage sector, and I got the post. When I was supposed to leave, my grandmother says I must take the child with. My son at the time was 6 years. I was very hurt because all of a sudden I feel that my grandmother doesn't care. And you know how it is within the African family. We rely on that extended family, that familiarity. So I left and I said to her, but why would you say I must live with this child? It's the first time I'm going to work outside of Kimberley. I must still familiarize myself with the environment and all of that. She told me something very profound, but I can tell you at that time I didn't find it funny, I didn't find it profound. She says to me, this is now your child. Whatever you do, wherever you go with him. Because the values that you are going to instill, you need to guard it jealously. You cannot just leave him with everyone. Because one day when he's older, you are going to look back and want to blame people to say that they didn't teach this child well. It is your responsibility. So you are going to take this child with. I went to work in Cape Town. I only lasted for 6 months because I just couldn't. But today, now that she has passed on, my son is 25 years old. We know how the world is today. But it is a child whom I now, on reflection, know that I have instilled the values. Everything that I have learned, hence I said I even ended up, because of what my grandmother said, I even ended up taking him to a Christian crèche, to Christian schools, because now all of a sudden I was aware that values are important. But it is a child that I can give my bank account card today and he'll just do what he needs to do. It is a child that can look after the sister. It is a child that I can trust. And I must say, by God's grace, I've never had teenager issues with my son. Now I understand that it was about what I instilled at that time, which is what my grandmother said. Because the second aspect to it, my grandmother said, one day when I die, when you want to reconnect with him, it will be difficult because he will feel that you are only with him because I have passed on. And that is what was important. And when you also look into the book of Timeless Wisdom, there is in Proverbs where it says to the son, listen to your parents' instruction. Listen to your mother's instruction. Wear them like an ornament. Now the question is, what will the child wear as an ornament? What instruction would you have given to your child? And being a parent is difficult. There are advices, but it does not necessarily work for everybody. So the only thing that I trusted then became the word of God. Yes. Simply because when I was raised by my grandmother. I was not raised by my mothers. It's all of those issues, when it comes to parents. And my grandmother said, when I raised you from 4 months, I said to God, God, it's only me and you and this child. You will take care of what needs to happen with this child. So really, it spans as far as back as then. And I can now proudly associate with my mother, whom I've never known, knowing that this is the way that God has laid out for me, because I would not have been the person that I am. And also understanding issues of wisdom and instruction from the Lord, I was able to forgive fully. Today you would think that I was really raised by my mother. So for me, it's personal. So the whole journey of wisdom to me is personal. Because moreover, so there's a lot of things that I'm starting to understand that my grandmother did and said I'll understand once she has passed on. And I'm seeing that. And in the book, actually, there's a section which I call Wiz Corner. It is the reflections of what my grandmother was saying. So one of them, the story that I'm relating about my son, is that foundation is important. You start with the foundation. That is the most important aspect. Whatever happens is the seed that you have planted. The foundation that is laid, how you nurture it, how you water it. That is for me the important aspect which I have learned. Hence, then I've gone on to this discovery of wisdom and discovered many other things, including my mistakes, of course. So there are some of those reflections in the book as well.
Of course, foundation is important. And for this episode, you've basically laid the foundation and built the house. Before we put on the roof, I'm just going to go for an ad break. So do stay tuned on The Marketplace. We'll be right back.
Join Marketplace with Charles on an 11-day tour of the Holy Land. Take the route Israel traveled to the Promised Land, cross over the Red Sea, and float on the Dead Seas, the lowest point on earth with amazing healing properties. Experience the vibe of Jericho and cruise on the Sea of Galilee to Capernaum, the hometown of Jesus. Visit the pools of Bethesda, Nazareth, Bethlehem, and many more. Walk where Jesus walked and see the Bible come alive. If beautiful memories and an enriched spirit is what you are looking for, then join us in taking Jesus to the Marketplace. For more information, call us on +27 72 123 0078 or email israel@artofskincare.co.za.
It's a total pleasure to welcome you back once more to Marketplace with Charles. For today, it's with Ketiwe, and I'm still with my lovely guest, Ms. Nomvula. Nomvula, you run online classes for women as well as children. Just talk us through the details of those programs.
Okay, in terms of that, I think as I've done the distinction about my company to say I do training in the corporate sector. Now, the specific online classes that you are talking about is actually a Lead Like Jesus program. That is from the Ken Blanket Foundation. We have a Lead Like Jesus South Africa. So then we just basically go on aspects on how to lead like Jesus. It's a 6-week class and we do it online. There's even women from Botswana and so on. So there, it talks about 3 leadership styles. It talks about the transformational leadership style that Jesus was using. It talks about the situational leadership style, but the biggest mandate of all being servanthood. Because even Jesus said, I didn't come here to be served, but to serve. So that whole program that we do then with women is reflections, looking into themselves, pausing, and then just knowing how to do in their leadership journeys. Because remember, nobody prepares you for leadership. But the biggest thing that is different about this program is that it's not about leadership the way it's defined in an organizational structure. Okay. It's leadership in general. It distinguishes between the life role leadership and also leadership within an organizational context. So the moment that you seek to lead other people or influence, you are a leader. So it looks at all aspects of it, whether you are a mother, a wife, or in the workplace. So it just looks at all of those aspects. And the reason why we say it's a Lead Like Jesus model is actually premised just on an approach of looking at your alignment between your heart, because we say that the motivation to serve starts with your heart, and your head, and then your hands and your habit. So it's a distinction where we look at the 4 domains of servant leadership, as Ken Blanket defines it, to say your heart and your head is the internal domains. That is what you need to work on. And then the hands and the habits, what people experience, what they see, is actually what is going on inside of you. So it is basically just those aspects that we deal with. And we're doing the same when it comes to children. It is a formal program that is being done at Christian Brothers College. So we do the core. There is also a Lead Like Jesus program for children. It is called Leadership Ignite. And then after that, we also then do the generic aspects of leadership. So the theme underlying these lessons is debunking. We call it, we we do it under a broad theme that says debunking leadership. Basically what we are saying leadership is not about a position that you hold within an organization. So that is what entails the program for both the women and the children.
And you keep referring to a book, and you've given so much gold that you already do with the women and children. When can we look forward to this book and getting a hold of it?
In terms of the book, I can tell you my creative team also applied wisdom. I was saying that it was going to be released in November because we are still going to do masterclasses in October. And then from their own creative direction, the Narrative Room Group, they said, let us do it first week of December so that it becomes a gift with everything that we have undergone this year, with everything that has happened, because it actually has points to ponder, it has reflections, so there's some exercises as well. So they felt in terms of their own creative direction that it will be a perfect one to be a gift for December. So it will be launched the first week of December. But there is a site where you can engage with us on the other aspects other than the book, the ones that I've mentioned, which is www.timelesswisdom.co.za.
So unfortunately, we've come to the end of the show. It's been an absolute honor having you. Because you've already given out your website details, I want you to please give, as Miss Wisdom, you've established yourself as Miss Wisdom in the short time we've had. I want you to give parting words to the audience at home.
My parting words would be that it is very important to understand that you cannot lean on your own understanding. God fully understands that He's given you the intelligence. He's given you the mental capacity. But in the same way, within the Bible, it says, do not lean on your own understanding. The word even further goes and say, continue to renew your mind and transform your mind. And that is exactly what, when I was writing the book, I myself really went through a transformation journey. And I must say, I didn't even know that I'll be here writing this book. It was not even in what we usually call our New Year's resolutions. So don't think it's something that I planned even there. So it is a matter of not leaning on my own understanding. So it has been my own transformation journey. So all I'm saying is that be open, weigh the options, know what is right, know what is wrong. But most of all, even if you seek counsel, make sure that you know the source from which the perspective of that person comes from, because it does not always necessarily apply to you.
Ms. Nomvula, thank you so much for gracing our studio. And can you please give your website to our viewers at home one more time in case they want to contact you or order the December gift book?
It is www.timelesswisdom.co.za, and the first 50 people to order the book will have it with their names printed and a special message from me. It won't be written, it will be printed.
I don't want to miss that. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Well then, there you have it. That was my guest, Ms. Nomvula Rakolote. Let us meet again, same time, same place next week for yet another power-packed episode. And don't forget to check out the repeats bright and early every Wednesday morning, that is at 1 a.m. and on this very same channel. And you can also view the repeat at any time that suits you by subscribing to the Marketplace YouTube channel called Charles Ngobeni. I assure you that that's a decision you will not regret. Thank you so much for watching The Marketplace with Charles Ngobeni, brought to you by Art of Skincare. And do remember to get in touch with us. Our website is charlesngobeni.com, and on all our socials, that is Charles Ngobeni. Don't forget the _ in Instagram. And when you want to get in touch with myself, Ketiwe, that is Facebook, my Keti Speaks Life. Until next time, goodbye and God bless.
Join Marketplace with Charles on an 11-day tour of the Holy Land. Take the route Israel traveled to the Promised Land. Cross over the Red Sea and float on the Dead Seas, the lowest point on earth with amazing healing properties. Experience the vibe of Jericho and cruise on the Sea of Galilee to Capernaum, the hometown of Jesus. Visit the pools of Bethesda, Nazareth, Bethlehem, and many more. Walk where Jesus walked and see the Bible come alive. If beautiful memories and an enriched spirit is what you are looking for, then join us in taking Jesus to the Marketplace. For more information, call us on +27 72 123 0078 or email israel@artofskincare.co.za.